My name is Iris Vale. I'm 27, a cybersecurity analyst living in Boulder. I used to think if I worked hard enough, suffered long enough, I'd earn my place in this world. Turns out that only made me useful. They knocked at 6:12 p.m. sharp. Polished. Rehearsed. I didn't open right away. I watched them from the peephole. Helen in a lavender coat she saved for public-facing apologies. Thomas in the same leather jacket he wore when lecturing me about self-reliance at 18. My hand hovered over the deadbolt. Click. Helen smiled too fast. Iris, honey. We were just in the area. Cut to it, I said, stepping aside. They sat on the couch like it still belonged to them. Helen crossed her legs, smoothed her skirt. Thomas stared at my bookshelf like it offended him. Alina's wedding, Helen began. It's become bigger than we anticipated. My silence was a mirror. She stared into it. Thomas cleared his throat. Julian's family is expecting a certain standard. We've booked the venue, decor, caterers, but the remaining expenses. 75 grand. I cut in. Helen blinked. Actually, 35. We already covered part of it. I almost laughed. You wouldn't co-sign a $10,000 student loan 5 years ago. Now I'm supposed to fund a ballroom fantasy? Helen's mouth twitched. That was different. College loans are traps. Weddings are about family. Family, I repeated. Convenient word. The room tightened. Thomas leaned forward. You make good money, Iris. This is a one-time gesture. No, I said. They weren't ready for it. Helen blinked like I'd slapped her. Iris, she said softly, resentment is poison. No, I said again, colder. This is clarity. They left in silence. Not a door slam. Not a second glance. I was still standing in the hallway when I noticed the envelope. No postage. No name. Just there, like it grew from the floorboards. I took it inside. Peeled the flap open. Inside, one flash drive. Generic. Cold. I plugged it in. A single file. Audio only. Distorted voice. Genderless. Synthetic. You want your truth? Be careful. Some secrets cost more than college. My blood iced over. I never told anyone about the loan. I checked the window. Street empty. But a black SUV idled 1 block down. I shut the blinds. Replayed the file. 3 times. Same words. Same tone. Truth. Secrets. Cost. I reached for my phone. Blocked number. Text appeared instantly. Tick, tick, tick. My breathing shortened. The room felt smaller. Walls leaned closer. I backed toward the door, deadbolt shaking under my fingers. I never told anyone what happened with my student loans. So, who the hell made this recording? I didn't sleep. I sat at the kitchen counter all night, the flash drive still plugged into my laptop, blinking like it had a pulse. At 6:11 a.m., I texted Lena Trawick, emergency. Need legalize. She answered in 7 minutes flat. That was Lena. No good at brunches, brilliant under pressure. We met at a cafe in downtown Denver, public, loud, safe. My coat was zipped to my throat. I kept my back to the wall. She skimmed the invoice I brought. You didn't authorize this? No, my voice cracked. And look, that's my legal name on the payer line. They submitted it already. Her eyes narrowed. If they used your name without consent, that's wire fraud. Civil and criminal. But she paused. But she slid her laptop from her bag, typed. Fast. Efficient. I watched the screen load. A pending document filed under a private family contract. Estate restructure agreement. Effective date, 6 days ago. Clause 7.3, Lena said, pointing. If you contribute voluntarily, you waive all rights to shared assets. This is more than a check. It's a legal burn notice. A steel wire twisted through my spine. They're trying to erase me. No, she said flatly. They're trying to use you to erase themselves. Cut scene. Elevator. Back at the firm by noon. But something was off. Co-workers glanced too long. A senior tech tilted his head at me like I had mustard on my face. When I reached my office, a note was taped to the monitor. HR needs to see you. Urgent. The director greeted me with a practiced frown. We received an anonymous tip. Said you accessed private data related to a wedding vendor server. Can you explain? Blood left my hands. That was yesterday. I lied. Said I was hacked. Said I'd investigate myself. Anything to buy time. Walking out, my phone buzzed again. Blocked number. Message, back off. You don't know what you're walking into. I froze at the crosswalk. Wind slapped my face. A silver SUV slowed at the corner. I turned. Windows tinted black. Gone. I called Lena. Can you trace a burner? If it pings again. I exhaled. It will. That night, I couldn't go home. I booked a cheap Airbnb with cash. 1 bedroom, no cameras. Curtains drawn tight. I opened my laptop. I still had access to the vendor portal from last night. The wedding venue's back-end system. A private folder caught my eye. Event. Betrayal 2025. Secured access only. I bypassed it. Easy. Inside, floor plans. Security staff listings. Confidential RSVP list. My name wasn't on it. But something else was. Event owner, Dorian Ness. My fingers stopped cold. Dorian Ness was dead. I remembered the funeral, the urn, the eulogy no one listened to. But here, he was, signing contracts with my name attached. I stared at the screen, then closed the laptop. Hard. You ever get the sense that someone's watching you through a wall? I turned. Nothing. But I didn't sleep. Next morning, Lena called. I cross-checked the document, she said. Not only is Dorian listed as owner, he's listed as power of attorney for a trust fund tied to the old Vale estate. That was dissolved, I said. Apparently not. A pause. His death was never filed. A beat. There's no death certificate, Iris. My chest tightened. You're telling me. I'm telling you legally, Dorian Ness is still alive. And he controls something with your name on it. I stepped outside the Airbnb. The morning air tasted like frost and metal. Across the street, parked beneath a dying tree, was the same black SUV. And this time the engine was running. The SUV was gone by the time I reached the sidewalk. Typical move. Show presence. Stir fear. Vanish before consequence. I drove 2 hours straight to Aspen. No calls, no music, just tires, breath, and the sound of my own pulse. The wedding venue was a luxury slopeside resort. Glass facade, sharp architecture, clean enough to make lies look holy. I wore a gray blazer and carried a clipboard. Walked in like I owned the weekend. Event coordinator previewing the layout, I told the receptionist. She barely looked up. You're early, but all right. Ballrooms to the right. Staff only beyond that point. I nodded. Won't be long. The ballroom was already half-dressed in cream florals and fake sincerity. White chairs. Soft jazz. Fake joy. I found the door, marked management only. No security pad. Just a manual lock. I picked it in 12 seconds. Inside, server racks, dusty file boxes, a humming terminal. Lights flickered like it knew I didn't belong. I slid into the chair and plugged in. Root access. Simple encryption. No alarm triggers. I wasn't just good at cybersecurity. I was better than them. I found the folder again. Betrayal 2025. Secured access only. I opened the server logs. Found the upload trail. April 14th, 2:03 a.m. A signed contract was dropped into the system, directly into the private folder. The signature, Iris Vale. The footage backed it up. There she was. Alina. Hair pulled back. Trench coat. Hood up. Her posture was unmistakable. She wasn't cautious, she was coordinated. She slipped into the room, placed the envelope, typed the access code, then looked at the camera, just for a second. Her mouth moved. I zoomed in. 2 words. "Goodbye, Iris." Cut. I backed out of the room, heart like glass under pressure. The hallway was too quiet. Footsteps echoed. Not mine. I ducked behind a pillar. A man in a black blazer passed the doorway. Earpiece. Not hotel staff. Security. Private. I turned left, out a side door, down a narrow corridor. Back exit. Loading dock. Cold hit me hard. Snow crunched beneath my boots. Then headlights. I dropped to my knees behind a dumpster. Breath fogged. Hands shaking. The vehicle slowed. Paused. Then rolled past. Gone. I waited 60 seconds. Then ran. Later, in my car, heater blasting, I called Alina. She picked up on the 3rd ring. "Iris." Her voice, light, fake confusion. "What's wrong?" "You tell me." "I don't follow." "You forged my signature," I said. "You planted the contract. You looked at the camera. You said goodbye." Silence. Then, "Iris, I have no idea what you're talking about." Call ended. No goodbye. I stared at my phone. Then the lights went out. Not the building. My apartment. I was already moving. Keys, flashlight, breath short. I pushed the door open. Inside, dark. TV screen dead. Kitchen, humming stopped. Silence. Then, my phone buzzed. New message. Unknown sender. "You had your chance to walk away." The fire alarm tripped. Shrill. Piercing. Then smoke. Thick. Chemical. Creeping under the door. I hit the floor, low crawl to the exit. Heat. Panic. Hands shaking. Down the stairs. Out into the cold. Neighbors gathered in pajamas. Flashing lights. Fire truck arrived. Late. I didn't wait. I got in my car. Drove until my hands stopped shaking. Then I stared at the screen again. That message. That warning. The flames were still behind my eyes. And then I smelled smoke. I drove until the mountains swallowed the sky. Until my hands stopped shaking. Until the smoke in my lungs felt like memory instead of warning. By dawn, I was parked in front of Lena's Denver office. She opened the door before I even knocked. "You smell like fear," she said. "Good. It means I'm paying attention." Inside, she paced with her laptop tucked under her arm. "I pulled more from the estate registry last night. Iris, you need to sit." "I'm done sitting." She exhaled once, sharp. "Your name isn't just on the wedding invoice. It's tied to a pending trust motion, filed using a power of attorney authorization that shouldn't exist." "Whose POA?" She turned the laptop toward me. "Dorian Ness, acting principal." My stomach flipped. "He's dead," I said. "No," she replied. "He's undocumented. No death certificate. No coroner filing. No state record. Just a family email announcement. Paperwork says he's alive and legally empowered to sign for the Vail Trust." Cut scene. Cold fluorescent lights. Lena scrolling fast. She clicked another document. Trust valuation estimate. $823,400.72. I blinked. "I never knew." "You weren't supposed to know." Her voice softened. "Sometimes people bury truth because it scares them. Sometimes because it profits them." I heard my mother's voice in my skull. "Debt builds character. Suffering is good for you." I used to believe that. Now it tasted like poison. "Lena, close the laptop. Tell me everything. From the beginning." I told her. The SUV. The recording. The smoke. Alina's face on the footage. The forged signature. When I finished, she studied me, not as a lawyer, but as a friend. "You're in the middle of something designed to silence you. When you feel the ground shift, assume someone moved it. You're not paranoid, Iris. You're accurate. My phone buzzed. Blocked number. A single line. You like digging? Keep going. See what's left of you. My pulse spiked. Lena saw my face. Pack a bag, she said. You're not staying anywhere alone. Cut scene. My apartment building in Boulder. Taped off, scorched, humming with firefighters. A chief met me at the curb. Electrical fire started in the main panel, he said. Unusual placement. Could be tampering. We'll need to investigate. My throat tightened. Someone started it. He didn't deny it. If you smell burning plastic before bed, don't assume it's the heater. Cut. Inside the building. Ash swirling like black snow. My unit door half melted. I stepped inside. Everything was peeled open. Not from fire, from hands. Drawers emptied. Files gone. Laptop missing. Closet ransacked. This wasn't arson. It was extraction. The air felt wrong. Too still. Too watched. A soft creak behind me. I turned. My father sat in the dark on a half-burned dining chair. My heart slammed into my ribs. Dad. He didn't look up at first. When he did, his face was gray, older than yesterday. I told them not to touch you, he said. I begged them. Who? He rubbed his hands together, trembling. Doesn't matter. They don't negotiate. Dad. You think your mother and I hated you, he whispered. But fear makes people lie. And we've been afraid for years. His voice cracked. The trust wasn't dissolved. We signed it away to cover a debt we never understood. They said it would keep the family safe. I moved closer. Slowly. Who is they, Dad? Silence. Then. Iris, his jaw quivered. You were never supposed to see any of this. I swallowed. But I did. He looked at me then. Really looked, like weighing whether to tell the truth or survive. His next words came out like broken glass. They promised me they'd leave you alone. But I think you were always the real target. I stared at my father like he was a stranger wearing his own skin. The real target? I repeated. He nodded once. You were the leverage, not the casualty. What does that even mean? He looked over his shoulder, paranoid. It started with Dorian. He was never family. He was a facilitator. Someone Helen met in D.C. years ago. When the market crashed, he offered us a way out, using your name. My name. You were 18. Clean record. No credit flags. No suspicion. He created a shell company, funneled the trust through it. It was supposed to vanish quietly. But it didn't. No, he whispered. Because you didn't vanish. Cut scene. Dark motel room. TV static hums. Lena pacing. Your parents were either complicit or cornered, she said. But this Dorian guy, he's a phantom. I found a trail. Offshore accounts. Real estate in Panama. And one email address linked to AMC. I blinked. American Marriage Consortium? Exactly. A wedding planner corporation on paper. But they're a money laundering front. They target families with dormant trust funds. Stage luxury events. Create debt. Then acquire the property under default clauses. They use weddings to steal estates. Legally, she said, because the bride or groom signs the venue liability in their family's name, hidden in the fine print. My breath caught. Alina's wedding. Not just hers. Hundreds. Cut scene. Lena slides a document across the table. This is what they tried to hide, she said. Your mother's signature, forged here. And this clause, if the family fails to pay within 30 days, full ownership of the Vale estate transfers to AMC. And if I don't fund the wedding, they lose the property, but they made it your signature, so when it collapses, you're liable. A whisper like acid in my brain. They framed me as the back door. I stood up fast. Where's Alina? Still in Aspen, Lena said. But she's not alone. Dorian was seen entering the hotel last night. I grabbed my coat. We end this. Now. Cut scene. Aspen. Ballroom rehearsal in full swing. Snow glittered outside like false innocence. I pushed through the double doors. Alina turned. Smiled. You came after all. I didn't answer. Walked straight up to her. Low voice. You lied to me. Her smile thinned. Define lie. You staged the contract. Set the fire. Used me to anchor your fraud. She stepped closer. Whispered like a lullaby. It was never personal, Iris. That's the problem, I snapped. To me, everything is. People stared. Dorian appeared. Immaculate suit. Familiar smile. He moved like nothing could touch him. Iris, he said, extending his hand. I hear congratulations are in order. I didn't shake it. You built a company on coercion. On leverage, he corrected. Every empire starts with borrowed trust. Lena stepped beside me. And ends in courtrooms. You have no evidence, Dorian said. She handed him a flash drive. Encrypted server backups. Contracts. Bank statements. Yours, not ours. He laughed. You think that scares me? No, I said. But this will. I lifted my phone. Live streaming. 8,000 viewers and counting. His face flickered. Let me give you something back, he hissed. Your life untouched. Clean slate. Just walk away. I did that once, I said. And it almost got me burned alive. Cut scene. Security swarmed. Hotel staff called law enforcement. Dorian slipped back. Alina bolted through a side door. I followed. Back hallway. Marble echoing footsteps. She reached the fire exit. Turned. You were always too proud, she said. Too honest. That's why they used you. No, I whispered. They used you. And you let them. Her face cracked. Then. Sirens. Red lights. Voices. She looked behind her. Then at me. None of this matters, she hissed. It never did. Then she ran. And just before the door slammed shut, she tossed something to the floor. A velvet ring box. Inside, not a ring. A micro drive. Labeled. Project Ness. Original transfer chain. I picked it up. And finally, I understood why the house always wins. Federal agents raided AMC's main office 2 days after the Aspen wedding imploded. Flash drives don't lie, not when they're laced with metadata trails, server timestamps, and buried names like Vail Holdings Incorporated and L. Dorian Trust. I didn't sleep for 48 hours. I sat in Lena's apartment watching live feeds of arrests in suits and cufflinks. Men who smiled in charity galas. Women who chaired school boards. AMC was just the outer skin. Beneath it, a network of shell corporations so intricate it looked like a spider tried to map Manhattan. Alina disappeared. Again. Interpol posted a watch. But Lena believed she had gone south. Somewhere without extradition. Somewhere warm. Some people, Lena muttered, don't run from justice. They vacation from it. Cut scene. FBI conference room. I signed my affidavit with a shaking hand. I should have known, I said to the agent across from me. No, he replied. They were good at what they did. You were the key that jammed the lock. Cut scene. Hospital room. My father lay in a private wing, thin and hooked to monitors. You testified, I said. He nodded weakly. Had to. Why? He looked at the forebag. Because when your dying legacy is louder than loyalty. Cut scene. Courtroom. Dorian sat behind glass. No Armani suit this time. Just orange. Still calm. Like a man who had played every hand and didn't mind losing, as long as he got to sit at the table. He leaned toward the mic. To build something real, you have to burn a few lies first. The judge banged the gavel. Sentence, 22 years. federal prison, fraud, wire transfer, racketeering. Not enough, but it was something. Cut scene. House on the hill. Back in Boulder. The Vale family estate was mine again. Legally. On record. But it didn't feel like a victory. Just a reclaiming of something I'd already mourned. Lena helped me sort through the attic. Old wedding photos. Receipts. Burned edges on one contract that matched the blaze that nearly took me. She held it up. You still want to keep this place? I don't know, I said. It's like inheriting a crime scene. She laughed quiet, or the ending of one. Outside, wind cut through the trees. Cold, clean. I looked out the window. Remembered something my father used to say when he was half drunk, half honest. A lie is only dangerous when it's pretty. Now I knew what that meant. Cut scene. Non-profit office. 6 months later, I founded a forensic tech firm, Black Veil Systems, dedicated to exposing legal loopholes in trust-based shell schemes. We helped families. We tore down walls. Every case was a scar I recognized. You didn't let them destroy you, Lena said once, reviewing a file. You weaponized the truth. And I had, because pain, when filtered through purpose, becomes something sharp. Something that cuts back. Final scene. Gravesite. I stood alone at my mother's funeral. No camera crews. No apologies. No forgiveness. Just a quiet goodbye to a woman I barely knew, or perhaps never understood. As they lowered the casket, I whispered, You wanted a perfect daughter. You got a real one instead. I didn't cry. I walked away. Because surviving isn't always about escaping the fire. Sometimes it's about walking through it and not letting anyone else carry the matches again.